Hey everyone, I thought I would just touch base with you and see how things are going. I'm working from home. I'm in our guest bedroom. My wife's downstairs working. My son is out on the trampoline. I think I can hear it. My daughter's at a desk working. So, like you, everyone's kind of homebound. And I was thinking maybe over the next, I don't know, several weeks, maybe it's months, I don't know. I want to try to work on giving you some specific tools that I think would be helpful to help manage um, well, specifically anxiety during this time. There's lots of things going on. People struggling. I was telling my wife and some friends woke up just kind of feeling down and depressed today. Feel better now that I'm moving into work and looking forward to doing a workout at the end of the day. But managing emotions daily can be a difficult thing, and I think sometimes we, um, I don't know, make it too difficult, or we look for too many tools, or we look for that silver bullet that will fix everything. And in my experience, it's not usually that. Usually, it's finding a habit or a specific technique that you can just practice over and over and over again. I mean, most of the research shows when it comes to developing something and becoming an expert at something, right? It's about the practice. It's about doing it over and over and over and over again. But I think when something doesn't work the first time or two, we just kind of give up on it. And so one of the things I want to talk about just for like 2 or 3 minutes is, and yeah, I'm touching my hat a lot. I'm not used to wearing a hat, right? Most of you see me at work with no hat on. Breathing. Breathing, I would say, is underrated. When I'm working with people in my office, what I'll notice is all of a sudden their chest is not moving, right? And it's not obviously not that big of a dramatic move, but it looks like they stop breathing. And you can tell, you can see it just kind of in their chest, you can see it in their throat, you can see it in the way that they talk and communicate. And so one of the things that I know when I see that happening is just to stop and have them take some deep breaths, right? Because when we don't breathe, and this is kind of my non-scientific terms, right? But we essentially cut off oxygen to the brain. And when that starts to happen, people will start to experience a panic. And when they panic, that panic builds on panic and it gets worse and worse. So if you've ever seen someone have a panic attack before, which happens quite a bit in the work that I do, you'll notice that they kind of stop breathing, and then it gets worse, and they panic, and then they're in full-blown panic attack mode. And one of the best ways to do is to stop, or best things to do is to stop and intervene and just help them breathe and regulate their breathing. And so I think one of the best practices to do now, especially when we're all homebound and we're in each other's space, is to stop several times a day, and you might have to designate them. In fact, I would intentionally designate some time each day to stop and take some deep breaths. Probably when you get up in the morning, right? There's a good practice for doing that. Probably sometime in mid-afternoon, probably again in the evening. Ideally, you're probably doing it more than 3 times a day. But I think if you set some intentional practices aside just to pause and breathe, and I'll show what that looks like in a second. Or if you just get in the habit of the minute you notice, or the second you notice, hey, I'm not breathing and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, to stop and just practice breathing. Now, there's different techniques. The one that I like the most, again, there's no fancy thing about it, but just to sit in a chair, usually sit upright. You want your feet on the floor so you feel grounded. I usually put my hands on my knees. And you breathe in through your nostrils, right? So a big and hold, and then breathe out through your mouth. This is weird, by the way, doing it on camera with you. I'm used to doing it in person, people. But breathe in, and then it's important to breathe in through the nose and to hold, and then to breathe out through the mouth. Again, it's and if you're by yourself, just make it like as loud as possible, just to kind of get the feeling of it. Now, I recommend people do a set of 10 of those, right? So a set meaning breathing in and then breathing out as one set, right? And do those 10 times. Now, if you don't feel regulated after 10 times of doing that, then keep doing it until you start to feel a sense of calm. But in my experience, even no matter the level of panic, even doing 10 really slow can be helpful for people. So I would encourage people to do that. Sometimes people will breathe in and they'll focus on a thought or a word, whatever that is, right? And they just breathe in and breathe out, and they might have a word in mind, right? When I was doing that, I was thinking the word calm. A lot of people that I work with also come from a faith background, and a verse that I've been thinking about for years is in terms of a focus, like a meditation, is Psalm 46:10, which says, Be still and know that I'm God, so that when I breathe in, I think be still. And then when I breathe out this idea of know that I'm God. So connecting my breath, right, to that specific verse, to that act, to that connection, that relationship. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Find something that works for you. If you need help, I mentioned this in the video yesterday or on some tool. Everyone's got something like this, right? Whether it's Apple or Samsung or some other Android device. But I'm a big fan of the Headspace app. It's a huge one. It's a good one. Calm is another good one. I just like Headspace. I'm just kind of biased towards that. There's another one I've been experimenting with for a few months called State, which is a breathing app, and it has kind of this visual, I don't know, ball or circle that kind of you focus your breathing on in terms of the length that you hold it. I find it to be a really helpful tool. So practice some breathing, use the tool, or there is a hypnotist guy that I've really liked over the years. His name is Andrew Johnson. If you Google Andrew Johnson /hypnotist, you'll see tons of apps that he has. I believe that his public speaking app helped me get back on stage again about 10 years ago because of my just anxiety and stuttering. I love that one. I love his Don't Panic app. I listen to those more when I have an extended period of time. At night, I listen to them often. They're about 45 minutes long. I'll fall asleep 20 minutes into it because he's so calm and relaxing. So go to his page or website, see what you can find. They're on Amazon, they're on iTunes, they're everywhere. And then these are a little shorter. The Headspace is about 7 minutes. So if I would start with one tool, it would be breathing. I just think it's just underrated. And I'm practicing right now, going through scuba certification and just learning about, right, the importance of breathing and how we regulate our breath work. And I know that in my work as a counselor and therapist, that when we regulate our breathing, it can help calm and emotionally regulate that part of our brain that triggers the amygdala, which triggers that fight or flight, which sends us into full-blown anxiety and panic. So if you can practice calming that, you've given yourself a huge gift. So work on that. If you have any questions, feel free to, again, send me an email at rhett@rhettsmith.com, and cheering you guys on during this difficult time, and look forward to connecting more. Have a safe day.